There is a serious issue facing the Catholic Church right now, and it cannot be ignored any longer. This issue has reached a point where Pope Leo XIV must act immediately. It is not a small matter, not a debate limited to experts or a side conversation among theologians. This is something real and pressing, something that affects families, priests, and faithful Catholics all over the world. If the Vatican remains silent, the effects on the life of the Church could be devastating and long-lasting. We are talking about the traditional Latin Mass, its place in Catholic worship, its role in the spiritual lives of many, and the alarming trend of it being slowly pushed aside. What's happening right now is not just about ceremonies or traditions. It's about the very identity of Catholic prayer, the heart of our worship, and the way we encounter God in the liturgy. For many Catholics, the traditional Mass is not a relic of the past. It is a living form of worship, something that connects them deeply to their faith, their families, and the Church's long history. And yet this form of the Mass is being restricted, silenced, and in some cases removed completely from parish life. These changes are not being announced with loud declarations. They are happening quietly. Masses are being stopped, permissions are not being renewed, and celebrations are being moved to less central places. The message is subtle but strong. The traditional Mass is being treated not as a respected and valid form of worship, but as something temporary, something barely tolerated. And what is most troubling is that this is happening at a time when many hoped the Church would become more open to tradition under Pope Leo XIV. Instead, silence continues. Silence that for many feels like rejection. Let's look at what recently happened in the Diocese of Jefferson City. For 7 years, the traditional Latin Mass was celebrated regularly at the Church of St. Joseph. This was only possible because of a special permission granted by the bishop and approved by Rome. Under current rules, known as Traditionis Custodes, this form of the Mass is not allowed in parish churches unless there is special approval. That approval was given, but now it is being taken away. At the end of June, the permission will expire, and it will not be renewed. There was no scandal, no rebellion, no public outcry from the priest involved. Father Dylan Schrader, who had led the celebration of the traditional Mass, explained the situation in a calm and respectful letter. He did not attack anyone. He did not stir up division. He simply told the truth. He said that in good conscience, he cannot continue to celebrate the Mass without permission, even though the faithful are still hungry for it. Father Schrader is not a radical. He is a faithful priest, deeply committed to the Church. He studied the traditional Mass in seminary, not because of nostalgia, but because he believed it was spiritually rich and important. Over time, he built a strong and loving community around this form of worship. Now that community is being scattered, not because they did something wrong, but because of a silence that has the power to destroy. The diocese does not even have a bishop at the moment. The previous bishop, Monsignor McKnight, has been moved to another city, and in this time of transition, no one has stepped in to protect the Mass. And so, it stops. With it, a history of prayer, sacrifice, and spiritual growth also ends. Now let's look at another case, Charlotte. Here the situation was different but just as serious. From the very beginning the message was clear. Centralize, standardize, reform everything fast. Bishop Michael Martin, newly installed, made sweeping changes. He didn't wait. He acted quickly, maybe too quickly. In the process, a document was leaked. It revealed plans for a local liturgical reform that went far beyond Traditionis Custodes. The document suggested banning kneeling at communion, removing altar rails, limiting the use of traditional vestments, and even placing restrictions on the personal devotional habits of priests. The backlash was swift and loud. It didn't come just from traditionalists. Ordinary Catholics, people who don't regularly attend the Latin Mass, also spoke up. Letters were written, public statements were made. The people of God began to rise. They were not angry just because of changes to the Mass. They were upset because they were being treated like they didn't matter. Their spiritual needs, their voices, their love for the Church seemed to be ignored. Eventually, Bishop Martin had to step back. He paused the changes for a year. But many believe This is only a delay, not a change of heart. During this time, priests most closely connected to the traditional Mass were reassigned, moved quietly one by one. It looked like a plan. Remove the supporters, and the Mass will fall apart. What's even more shocking is that Bishop Martin had been warned by Rome, specifically by the man who is now Pope Leo XIV, to proceed with caution. But he didn't listen. He rushed forward, and now he finds himself in conflict with the people. This is not just about a bishop or a diocese. It's about a way of thinking, a way of acting that is more focused on enforcing a certain image of unity than on listening to the people of God. When faithful Catholics, who have always obeyed, who have never broken with the Church, begin to feel abandoned, something is seriously wrong. What is most troubling is the method being used. No one is openly banning the traditional Mass. No loud declarations, just slow, steady silence. A permit is not renewed. A question is not answered. A request is ignored. And slowly, piece by piece, the traditional Mass disappears. It's never officially forbidden, but it's gone. And so entire communities are left without Mass, without priests, without guidance. They are confused, hurt, and wondering what they did wrong. The answer is, they did nothing wrong. They only loved the Mass. They only wanted to worship God in a way that brought them closer to Him. And now they are being treated like they don't belong. This is why Pope Leo XIV must act. He cannot wait. He cannot speak in vague words. He cannot hide behind committees or documents. He must speak clearly. He must act with love, but also with courage, because this issue is bigger than the Mass. It is about trust. Trust between the people and the Church, between the flock and the shepherd. Right now, that trust is being tested. Many Catholics are watching. Many are waiting. They are not asking for power or control. They are asking to be seen, to be heard, to be respected, to be allowed to worship in a way that has fed the souls of countless saints. This is not a time for politics. It is a time for faith, a time for courage, a time for action. Pope Leo XIV has just begun his time as Pope. But on this issue, the world is already watching. What he does or does not do will speak louder than any homily or encyclical. The traditional Mass is not a threat. It is not a rebellion. It is a treasure. It is a gift to the Church. And if we lose it because of silence, the loss will not be measured just in ceremonies, but in hearts broken, in faith shaken, in communities torn apart. So we ask not with anger, but with hope. Holy Father, please act. Please speak. Please protect what is sacred, not for tradition's sake, but for the people who have built their lives around it, for the priests who have given their hearts to it, for the Church which needs both old and new to breathe with both lungs. We are ready to listen, we are ready to follow, but we need a shepherd who will not abandon the sheep. We need clarity, we need direction, we need you. Let us pray that Pope Leo XIV hears this call and responds with wisdom, courage, and love. Let us pray for the Church, that it may be united not in silence and confusion, but in truth and clarity. And let us never stop believing that even in the darkest times, God is at work, guiding His Church through every storm. If you believe the Mass is worth saving, speak up, pray, share your story, and above all, trust that the truth will never die, because it is the truth of Christ, and He will never leave us.